Welcome to my video on the Sieve of Eratosthenes. This is about finding prime numbers in the algorithm he developed. So who was Eratosthenes? Basically, he was an ancient Greek mathematician, geographer, poet, astronomer, very well-read and a scholar of his day. He was a chief librarian at the library in Alexandria, that would be in Egypt, and that was the city set up by Alexander the Great. At a big library there. It's a real center of learning. And the thing he's probably most known for, he did the first fairly accurate calculation of the circumference of the Earth, and it wasn't very far off from today's value. And among other things, he developed an algorithm to find prime numbers, and today we call that the Sieve of Eratosthenes. And that's what this video is going to be about. We're going to understand what that is and how that works. First of all, what is a prime number? A prime number is a whole number greater than 1 that can only be divided evenly by 1 in itself. So the first few primes are going to be like 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. And the numbers like 4, 6, 9 are not primes. They are called composite numbers because they have more than 2 factors. So that's all the rest of the numbers. If you look at the positive integers greater than 1, it's either a prime or a composite. Most of them turn out to be composite, but the primes do go to infinity. Now, how does this Sieve of Eratosthenes work? Basically, it's an algorithm, and we've got computer programs that do that today, but we're going to do this by hand. And we're going to look at the example of just calculating out the primes up to 40, because you can go infinite with this method, so it could take a long time. So we're just going to look at the first numbers up to 40. And so the first step is to delete all the numbers that are a multiple of 2. So that would be like 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, all the way up to 40. The next step is you just delete all the numbers that are multiples of 3. That'd be like 6, 9, 12, 15, all the way up to 39. Now, on 4, we can skip 4 because that's a multiple of 2. So we don't need to worry about that. Next we go to 5. So we're going to delete all the numbers that are multiples of 5. That'd be 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40. So that gets rid of all those. Now we can skip 6 because it's a multiple of both 2 and 3. And so those numbers have already been covered. Now let's delete. The next step is delete all the multiples of 7. So that's going to be 14, 21, 28, and 35. Now we can stop here because if you think about it for a second, all the numbers would have been covered because 7 times 7 is 49, so you don't really need to go any further. So we're going to stop at 7. So let's see how this thing works. Okay, first of all, we're just going to cross out 1 because it's not really, it's 2 or greater. We know 2 is a prime, so we're not going to cross it out. We want everything that's a multiple of 2. So we're going to do the 2's first. So that's going to be 10. These columns are just easy because they're going to be the multiples. So we're crossing out all the multiples of 2, and they're going to be just in these columns, just by the way the matrix is set up. So that was easy. All right, now let's look at all the multiples of 3. So let's see, that's going to be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18's already covered, 21, and let's see, that's times 3 times 7, 3 times 8 is 24, already covered, 3 times 9 is 27, 3 times 10 is 30, 3 times 11 is 33, 3 times 12 is 36. 3 times 13 is 39. So those numbers are covered there. They're already marked out. So we've done 3's. Now 4's we don't need to do because they're already covered by the 2's. Now let's go to the 5, multiples of 5. So here's going to be our first one. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10, already covered. 5 times 3 is 15, already covered. 5 times 4 is 20, already covered. 5 times 5, 25. 5 times 6, 30, already taken care of. 5 times 7, 35. And 5 times 8 is 40, already covered. So there's our 5s. Now we don't need to do the 6s because they're already covered by 2 times 3. Now we're just left with the 7s. Okay, now let's do the 7s. We're not going to do the 7 because 7 is our first number. We know 1 times 7, that is a prime. 7, so 7 times 1 is 7. We're not doing that one. 7 times 2 is 14, already covered. And 7 times 3 is 21, already covered. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 5 is going to be 35. That's already covered. And 7 times 8 is 42. We're not going to worry about that. So we've done 1 through 7. So now let's look at our primes. Well, we know 2 is a prime. And we know 5. Oops, I screwed up on 3. Because when we do 3, we don't do the first number. 3, 5, 7. Now we've got 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29, 31, and 37. So in the red, those are our primes up to 40. So that's how the sieve worked. All right, well, I hope you got something out of this video and learned a little bit about the Sieve of Eratosthenes and what a prime number is. If you did, give me a like, thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.